Hi, my name's Ginger Cook, and I want to invite you to paint a easy step-by-step floral painting of white lilacs. Let me take the fear out of painting these kind of flowers. Join me in a minute, and I'm going to show you how.
And now, without further ado, I have the distinguished honor and privilege of presenting to you the Queen of Color, the Mother of Artists, globally acclaimed, award-winning master acrylic artist, and the star of our show, Ginger Cook, as she once again mesmerizes her audience with the daring do's and don'ts of painting with acrylic. Oh, don't talk. Oh, yeah, you can talk.
Hi, you guys. So we're back at the table, right?
Yep,
we're
back on the table.
All right, so now you guys are going to see what we're painting today. This is a purple. It was originally a purple canvas, a little 8x10 canvas, and we've got these white lilacs. But if John, do me a favor, zoom in as close as you can on these flowers.
Oh, I can get all
and I want you to see something, because nothing is ever just white. And I think the thing that happens is that when you're first learning to paint, you're just going to do a bunch of spots on things and then hope for the best. But there's always colors and tones. You see the little bit of purple and green tones in these flowers, and even some gray. So if we were to do a black and white of this, there's white, but it's just not everywhere. And I'm going to show you how to go back at the end of the painting and just tone back and glaze these pictures, these flowers. Now, if I were to show you from my brush, you see this angle here? That is the direction. The light's kind of coming from the side. So the left side of the flowers is a bit brighter than the right side, okay? And the same with the vase. There's the light on the vase. And if you play with this a little bit, and you're going to find your paintings look much more authentic to what you're trying to paint if you will just follow the guidelines that everything has a light and a dark side to it, pretty much, even if they're white flowers. And we're going to show you how to do that. If you love this painting, I fell in love with it because it originally was done by a artist named, I wrote his name down here, Isaac Levitan, L-E-V-I-T-A-N. This was done originally in 1895, and he was a Russian artist. And apparently the original is hanging in Russia right now in one of the museums there.
It's in Moscow.
Yeah, Moscow, and it's a 20 by 20. It was originally 20 by 24. So you can imagine how much bigger. We're doing a 8 by 10. So so if you did this by, you could make this larger and still have this work very well for you. So that's the one nice thing about this. But you can learn how to do it small. I've got a little 8 by 10 canvas here that's just got a quick coat of kind of ultramarine blue and purple on the background. Doesn't really matter. But somebody says, well, why do you do that? Because your acrylic paints, they grab the next layer of paint, and then the next layer grabs that, and you'll find the more paint you have on the canvas, actually the easier it is to paint. So again, we're going to do this step by step. We've got a live audience that we're doing this from.
Now, how do you know they're live? I'm just asking the question. Well,
you said they were.
I never said a thing.
Oh, well, at some point. Anyway, now I'm distracted. I'm going to tell you a poem, and this really applies to you. A centipede was happy quite, until a frog in fun said, "Pray, which leg comes after which set his mind in such a pitch, he lay distracted in a ditch, considering how to run." And that's me, considering how to run now. It was on a roll, and then you just rolled me right off.
You're the centipede. You got your feet confused.
Confused. Now I have no idea, but I was going to tell you something. Who knows? It might have been the most important information in your art career. And the peanut gallery over there did an interruption. Yes?
Guys, what do you think?
Okay, so can we move on here? So,
go ahead.
So we're going to do a giveaway tonight. Big thanks to donations from some of our viewers. We're going to be giving away. What are we giving away, John, tonight?
We have 2 7-day memberships to the VLL Video Lesson Library, as well as 2 downloadable lessons. And
when we're talking about that is we have an Academy of Fine Art and Acrylic Painting. For those you don't know, it's an online academy. We have students from all over the world. John and I put up exclusive new videos every week. We start from introductory to acrylics, never seen a painting, acrylic paintbrush and a tube in your life, and we show you step by step how to do it, to the most sophisticated.
We are now changing from cookie system.
We're not talking about cookies anymore. We're talking about introductory, intermediate,
proficient, advanced, and then what used to be the box of cookie is your ultimate lesson.
And your ultimate lesson. So we go.
And we have an example of an ultimate lesson to show you tonight.
Yeah, we do. So we're going to show you an example of an ultimate lesson.
7.5 hours of video.
And so anyway, someone's going to win a free 7-day membership to that, with access to all the two people, all the lessons in our video library, and that are in our video lesson library. We have a separate library for our master water class, so that would be separate from that. And also, there's going to be a free giveaway for a little 10-minute painting. So, if
there's time.
If there's time, we're going to try to do that. And if we get more donations in tonight, if somebody decides to donate to us, then we'll give away. We'll kick up the prizes and give away a few more lessons. So anybody wants to sponsor somebody else to get some tutorials, and also maybe a downloadable. I think Sharon Poof says we still have a downloadable.
Yep.
Our downloadable lessons are lessons that you own outright and come from a separate website of lessons that you can just buy as separately. So that being said, I hope we've given people enough time to log on now.
We have
in the
260 visitors currently.
All right, so thanks
Andrew
very much.
From Haiti says, well, in Haiti we have zombies. I'm just saying.
What as far yes,
for our live audience.
For our
live
audience.
Are you following the comment? Are you here tonight?
I was trying to understand if you wanted a 1 zombie, 2 zombie, or 3 zombie lesson. I'm just trying to track where the zombies are going here. I'm sorry. Okay. All right, Andrew, we got you. All right. So let's. I've got this little canvas. It's not painted all that great, but there it is. Yes and yes. And we're going to put out.
It's not that great. It's beautiful.
Yeah, perfect. And then we're going to put out some paint. And the colors we're going to want are really very nice. And I'm so organized. You're going to be so impressed with me, you guys. A couple of yellows, a dazzling purple. Somebody wrote on Facebook, and they had posted we have an acrylic Facebook club, and which if you haven't joined, you really should. It's free and it's fun. And somebody had posted I think the horsey painting we did Saturday with the white horse, Arabian horse, and they were saying their purples didn't show up. Dioxazine purple, dioxazine, D-I-O-X-A-Z-I-N-E, dioxazine purple is a really, really strong purple. And a lot of companies, you'll buy a tube of paint, it's not a professional brown, and they'll say purple, and it won't be as deep as this. This is a marvelous color. However, when you start taking photographs with it, it has a glare all by itself. And I recommend, if you don't want that glare, to add a little bit of matte medium to your paint, just maybe a drop or two of your dazzling purple, and that will tone that glare down. If anybody cares. I mean, people say, when do you use matte medium? I'm going to put some paint out as we're talking. Probably hardly ever. Sometimes, if I want a painting want a final varnish, and I want a painting not to be too shiny, I can, maybe an old antique looking painting, I'll varnish it first with the gloss medium and varnish, then when that dries we'll hit it with some matte medium and take the glare off. But also matte medium can be used instead of zinc white, several coats of that, if there's a slight white haze to it. It's very subtle, and you're learning some real tips here because most people don't know that about it. But if you needed to, maybe have something seem a little bit more faded in the background, but zinc white was too strong, 2-3 coats of matte medium will do that for you. Wow, isn't that interesting? I don't think I've ever told that on the air before. That's good to know, right? So here's a little bit of yellow oxide, and we're going to do some cad yellow medium. And of course we're going to have phthalo blue and ultramarine blue. Those will be some of our colors. While I'm putting this out, can I answer any questions, John?
My dog wants outside. No, I don't think we can help you there.
Can't help you with the dog.
Someone wanted me to make a link, or at least a room, to announce our new apple, and people have already seen the new apple that's not there. Maybe you'd like to address that early in the show.
Well, we can address that. People are saying, what are you talking about? Are you an Apple? We're not talking about a computer, friends. We're talking about...
Which we normally do.
Well, it'd be fun, wouldn't it? But actually what we're talking about is when we decided to explain our introductory videos, because we have like 200 introductory videos to painting acrylics, and then another at least 150 intermediate. But what I get from people all the time is, I joined the Academy, but I'm not good enough. Actually, I'd like it if you weren't good enough, and here's why. Because if I can get you before you've gotten a lot of bad habits, we can cut the learning curve by half, right? Because then you don't have to overcome anything you've already were doing. It's like going to a golf pro and never having played golf. They'd much rather see that than having somebody bang around the course for a couple years and then they have to unlearn. But conversely, the other reason we have introductory acrylics is maybe you've been painting for years, but in oil or watercolor, and so you're not a beginner, because we don't like to use that word, but you are but you're new to acrylics, or the way I teach with acrylics. And we tell people to do enough of the introductory lessons so that you understand the techniques we use, because I build on those to do all of the more advanced lessons. Yes? So those are all the good things to know. And I have not just put them on our, by the way, YouTube has a bunch of basic lessons too. And if you just want to look at some of those, we have a few of those on YouTube too, where really some basic acrylic painting skills that are well worth watching. So let's see, I've got my blues.
You have your apples there if you'd like to continue.
Huh,
how do you get paint on your finger?
I don't know. I don't know.
Did you just put your finger in the paint?
I did.
For no apparent reason.
I don't know. I just was looking at it, and then the finger went there, you know?
If I could rewind this real quick, I'd rewind and put it in slow motion and see what happens.
I don't know how I did.
Zoom in on it.
I don't know how I did that. I just don't. But there it is. Now it's spread. This is out come the tub of towels. It's all spread. Now it's like...
Friends, if you don't know about tub of towels, it's our best friend here at Ginger Cook Studio.
Ginger can't live without these things, because as you can see, I tend to get paint everywhere. I remember one time there was this artist that... designed this paint. They don't sell it anymore, but he was a very good artist, but he couldn't mix a color to save his life. And for years, he did a lot of book covers and stuff like that. He'd hire an artist to mix colors and then hand him the paintbrush. And then he'd paint and get the next color. So he got with the manufacturer, and they invented a paint that never dried unless you either put the painting in the oven or did a very hot, some sort of heat gun on it. And then he had all the colors. Instead of mixing the colors, you just bought all the colors, and it was expensive stuff. I remember buying a starter kit of that, and I had some paint here, and then I had some paint here, and then I had it on my nose. It was insidious. I couldn't just go sit in the oven, right? So it was just terrible. Anyway, it's easy to, spread paint, but there you go. Tub of towels, my favorite. You can get those at our Amazon store. And listen, they don't sponsor us or anything. They do occasionally give us a cup. They give us some because I use so much and I mention it on the show, but they're not our sponsors or anything. All right.
Nothing official.
Official. All right. So
we got
this is our introductory.
What used to be the one cookie lessons.
What we used to call one cookie lessons. This is our newest introductory Apple tutorial. It will be up when?
This week.
This week. It'll be up this week.
It just got finished on the edit board last
John's just editing it and getting it ready to put up. And what we're going to do is, even though it's going to be for our Academy members, we're only going to have eventually, we have one free lesson, which was the last part of the Van Gogh Starry Night, which is on our Academy. Then the only other one we're going to have is this one, so that you can try and see how we teach. And also then we'll have what we call our intermediate apple, which is a different style of painting, and also you learn more techniques. We'll have this, and eventually we'll come back up to our, what are we calling this?
Proficient.
Proficient.
It used to be the three cookie.
Which used to be our 3 cookie, and there's the proficient. So you see how we're building, the backgrounds here built on that. The combination of this apple and this one created this, and you can see the background in the early part. Work, so you can kind of, I don't know if you've got it out far enough.
Well,
Are you
I'll
out
have to
far?
back out a little bit more since you're showing everything at one time, but I can do that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. See, these will be available, so you can see. Well, where am I in the food chain of school of painting? Where am I, and what can I learn? And there's value to all of these, as well as what you can get in the Academy. So, All right, so we've got our colors out. Oh, Cad Red Medium, I think, was our last color that I wanted to put out.
So once you get done with the last color, could you run through the color palette one more time for people, pointing to each flavor you have there?
I would be happy to do that. Try not to put my fingers in it.
We can only hope.
All right, so we have titanium white. We have dazzling purple, yellow oxide, could be yellow ochre depending on the brand, Cad yellow medium, Cad red light.
I'm going to make a comment here.
What?
As you have the red in your hand, and you're pointing with the finger underneath the tube, and the tube blocks approximately 3 to 4 of the colors.
There.
Could you try it again, please?
Sure. There's the there's the Cad reds. There's the ultramarine blue. See, now I have red on my hands. It's all
I don't know why you can't do this.
Here's the phthalo blue and the white. All right, there we go. Everybody's
next
good,
week
right?
We'll have labels.
And I'll tell you what, if you're switching over from the very basic paints and you're getting into professional acrylics, the first thing I want you to go buy is white. Because white's cheap, and I'm telling you what, it'll make all the difference in the world. Having a professional white acrylic is awesome. You're going to love it. So, all right, those are our paints. They're all right here, ready to grab. We need more. Now, the first thing we want to do is kind of put this background in.
Hey, I need to hear myself.
What happened?
They think I'm muted. Do I sound muted to you?
I can hear you.
Well, there you go. It's good enough. Can we zoom in on the palette? I can see if I can get a closer shot, but not quickly. Okay.
All right. So
I'm not muted, so I don't know what's wrong there.
So people can hear. All right. So I want you to notice that we've got from about here to here. This is going to be the lightest side, right, of the purple. This will be the darker side, and then we're going to come up at this angle here, and just this will be our lighter side, like this. This will be kind of the light area where everything's going. So light, and oh, you know, the color I didn't realize we needed, but I know now is magenta. I'm going to put some magenta. There's a touch of magenta in that. I can see it. So I can nifty find it in my new organized world of paints. Yes and yes.
It's with the reds.
It's with the reds. So it is. Huh. It is too.
Who would have to put it there? Oh, I did.
You put it there, but I think I still have it out. That's right. It's still here. Okay. So, but I have it close. It's close. It's close. There you go. It's a little magenta. We don't need much of that, but let's be the last of the big spenders and get it. All right. So now, remember, my brush strokes are going to be going this way. Now, here's the trick. We're going to use a damp brush, not a lot of water on it. It's already over this. All right. We're going to use a fairly wide brush. Let's use here's a what is this, about a number 8?
The reference that's on the screen is Ginger's.
It's mine. If you want to go look up his, you can, but we're not showing it. Okay.
Yeah, we can show his.
We're just, because I've changed his a little bit and simplified it down for YouTube. So, you know, you're more than welcome to look him up anytime you want. So here we go. We're going to do this. I'm going to dampen the brush, and then I'm going to wipe it off, okay? This is a very dry rag. It's just got old dead paint spots on it, right?
Old dead paint to go with our old dead artist.
That's it. All right, now.
I see the tie-in.
Now, all right, see how I'm holding the brush? I'm going to be holding the brush like this a lot of the time, right? Maybe like either like this or like this, using this flat part. So I'm going to start with white and get a little purple and little tiny bit of magenta. There we go. And I want to come down here on the side like this. See, like that? Now, all right, I'm going to just come down. Now, I've got this big light spot here. I'll get a little bit of purple and ultramarine blue and come right next to that on my brush. See how much I've got? And then just kind of play with that a little bit. Sometimes you can just mix colors right on your palette. Here's a little ultramarine blue coming down this way, and kind of blend that in. Come back to a little purple and magenta. Come up this way with that color. Now, okay, so as we go up this way, we want this nice dark color behind our lilacs so they show up, okay? So, all right, so we're coming this way, and now as I keep going here, maybe we'll lighten this up just a little bit up here from the top, just like that. And this is really very easy to paint. I just kind of long brush strokes, and you'll notice that if you just kind of go back and forth and kind of just blend it out like that. Now as I come over to the more toward the right hand side, I'm going to make this a little darker. And
hey, we'd like to welcome Jill from Montreal, her first live tutorial.
Hey Jill, welcome Montreal. I went to Montreal. Well, I've been to Montreal once. I went to the World's Fair back in whenever you had it. The 60s? The 60s, yeah.
Seems like yesterday.
It was what I remember most, because it was in the fall, is that you guys had the first underground mall I ever saw. It was so cool. They just a mall. It was because they have so much snow. It's cold there, so the whole mall was underground.
Ooh, road trip.
Yeah, it was really neat. It was really neat. So I mean, I'm sure other people have followed your example, but I think you guys were the first ones to ever do that. So now I'm going to get a little white paint, right, and a little bit of magenta, and a little bit of purple, a little bit of white. See, that's on the brush. See how much paint? Okay, and we're going to come up this way. Just keep it. Don't get it. Don't get it too. It's kind of. I think I almost want to slant it more, so it kind of wants to come below the halfway line on your. The angle would kind of hit below the halfway line, if that's your halfway line. So don't get too nuts on me, all right? You can put a little purple in it if you got too much. And this is just going to come this way. And doop, doop, doop. If you get too much paint, just darken it up here. Here's a little bit of dark. This is where our shadow is going to be, so we're going to put this here. Now, you'll notice in my picture that I've got some of this purple here. I'm not purple, but orange here. Do you see that?
Looks like the red.
Now, it's kind of a red, but it actually is it almost has a brown tone to it. And the reason it's like that is because when you mix dazzling purple and cad red medium, you get a brown. So what I'm going to do is take a little bit of this cad red medium, and I'm going to show you, start about 3 fingers down from the top here, and just barely touch it. And just make some streaks, and I want to stop about almost 5 fingers up from the bottom. And don't blend it, just kind of whisk it on and stop. Whisk, whisk, stop, and then I'll put this afterwards. Next to the vase, we'll do that later. Now if you get it too bright, you can always put a little purple over it. You see how that just tones it down? So, and you can add some later, but this is a very effective way of just getting a little light in the picture, like that. And when it dries, if you want to just put a little bit more on here, you can. You don't need too much of this. This is just a little color surprise that's in our picture, all right? And what I'm going to do next is dry the picture.
Oh, darn.
Why, did you have something else in mind?
No, but I hadn't had a chance. I'm sitting here. I didn't do the...
all right, so while that's drying, then I'm going to do... Do I have a chalkboard somewhere?
Of course you do.
I forget. I give up. Where is it?
Way behind you where you can't get to it.
Where I can't get to it. Oh, it's perfect. Why wouldn't I want a chalkboard there? Okay, so we'll just put these right here. We have a new drawing surface. Isn't this cool? All right, so let's just talk about, while that's drying, and John's hunting for things to entertain you with while we're drawing, let's talk about how to draw a vase. Yes and yes? So, you'll notice that a lot of you have seen this before, but our friend from Montreal has it. I'm going to show you the neatest cheat here. I'm going to do a rectangle, and it doesn't really matter what size, but here we go. Got a rectangle. This is a T-square. And I think I want my vase maybe this, maybe this tall, right? I'm going to say this is the top of my vase. Yes, I don't care about that anymore, yeah? And I'm going to say this is the bottom of the vase. Yes and yes? And I want kind of a tall, skinny vase. So, and I want the vase to kind of scoop. I want a vase that's sort of shaped like that, yeah? Now here's what you can do. You just, whatever you do on one side, do on the other, okay? All right, so whatever you've done on one side. So I've measured 2 fingers here and 2 fingers here, right? And I'll do that here, both sides, yeah? And then I want to come out. I want my vase to be a little fatter here. So I'll figure out what's the halfway point here and come out this far here like that, see? Let me just do this. That's the halfway point between here and here, yeah? So that's the same over here, and I want to come out, a finger's width, right? I want to come out that far. So what I can do is do this, Let's see, did I measure this was the same here like that? All right. And do this, yeah, whatever's the same, right? Okay. And then I might want to just come out like this on both sides, like that, okay? Now, I want it to end here maybe. So maybe I want it to curve back in like this, or maybe I want it to curve down like this. Here's the bottom of the vase. I just want to curve it, cut off the same amount on each corner. Here's my oval of my vase, and there's a vase. So then, what if I didn't want the sides, okay? Then maybe I'm just going to say, I'll just come real close to the edge of this, and here's a skinnier one. If you wanted it way out here, see what I mean? I mean, it's really simple. You just decide the size of the rectangle. If you want it longer, just bring your rectangle down and say, here's where the vase is coming down, you see? There's my vase, and just usually it's flat on the bottom, you know? Maybe you want a lip, you just bring it down, okay? So practically anybody, just really almost anybody can draw a vase. It's very, very simple. And the vase that's in this tutorial is even simpler than this one. I just want you to see how you might do it. So if I'm coming down like this and like this, these lines have to be straight up and down, right? His vase just sort of, we don't see what happens at the top. We're just going to assume it's doing something like this. And his vase just comes out just a little tiny bit and tapers in. That's all it does. It just does this and tapers in like this. And that's the vase. I mean, this is how simple that vase is. And you don't have to, you know, people always say when they freehand it in, sometimes it gets a little wobbly. And that's the secret of painting something like this. Just decide where your taper starts. If your taper starts here, then start it in the same place. And however wide you have it here, from your straight up and down line, have it the same width here. Does that make sense? So anyway, that's how you do a vase. Are you ready for me to dry this now?
I am.
Wasn't that good to know, you guys?
Hold on a second.
All right.
What have the guys been doing in my room?
You know, these interesting questions. Never mind. Keep going.
Talk so I can mute you.
Yes?
Talk again? Oh, you're gone. How sweet is that? All right, as she dries that, I want to share with you folks, this is another lilac painting that we have on our Academy website. That is the Lilacs and Lemon. We happen to have 3 different lessons. I think they were all from OGGs, what we refer to as the old dead guys. From classics, we always learn from the guys that did it in the past. So that's the lemons and lilacs lesson, and we also have the lilacs in the window. And then we have one more. I'll show you that one. Oopsie, I forgot to turn off the one. And there's the last one. That's the lilacs on the outside window. And now we're back with Miss Ginger.
Yeah, so you showed them all the 3 lilac paintings we have in the Academy. Aren't they cool?
I think they're very cool.
And they're all done by different artists, but there's something about lilacs that are just so compelling. Now we'll have a 4th lilac painting here. All right, so I'm about 2 fingers up from the bottom, about 4 fingers over from the left. Do you like it? 2 fingers up from the bottom.
Let's address that.
We can, if you want. Go ahead. I dare you. Go ahead.
On the last live show, we asked in our
4 fingers over
in our giveaway form, Ginger uses a couple different ways to measure things and show you on a canvas, fingers or rulers. And we asked, which do you prefer, fingers or rulers? We had approximately 225 people participate in this activity, and it was a very close race. 100 said fingers, and 125 said a ruler.
Okay,
Needless to say, fingers
we're about 3 fingers wide here. It's a vase.
That's how she does things. So you people that wanted rulers, get over it.
All right, so I'm just going to very gently, I'm using a T-square here, so let me show you. Put the T-square next to here. These are, if you like these clear ones, I like it because you can see where you've been, right? So I'm just going to come up here, and I said this is about 3 fingers wide.
Where you've been?
How's it telling you where you've been? You can see where you are at the moment in your right spot, but where you've been? How do you do this stuff? Is that a special? Do we have that on Amazon too? I want the cheat square that tells me where I've been. Not where I'm going, but where I've been. Go ahead.
Okay, moving along. All right, here's my 3 fingers, yes and yes. 3 fingers, yes. Yes and yes.
That's not straight.
See, I was over, no, it isn't because it got cooked. But see, I was over here, that's where I've been. This is where I am. And I can see in here kind of where I might have been.
Where I might be going. You never know.
That's right. So just...
Oh. If we had a finger converging chart, we would be happy. A finger is approximately...
I'm going to go a little bit here and here like this. I'm going to come down here just like I showed you in the video and cut off just a tiny bit of the corner here like this. Come down on this side, come out a little bit here like that. Come down here, here's my vase. And how tall is my vase? Well, this ruler doesn't really work. Well, it does, but I can't see it. So that's the good news and the bad news. How tall did I make this? I made this...
Oh, we're not going to do the fingers.
About 5 fingers up, because it's taller than I've got fingers.
Okay, I'm sorry. My hand has 5 fingers. So you missing some?
Fingers. It's a hand and 2 fingers. How's up, right? It's about where it's stopping. All right. So there's our vase right here.
You're killing me.
Okay. Now the other thing you want to remember when you do this, please leave at least 2 fingers if you have to mark your canvas. Don't go above here with your flowers. Give your flowers a little breathing room, huh? So now we're going to paint this vase in. Now this is really easy to do. Everybody's just happy on this, right? So we're going to take a little angle brush.
They're really happy about the future where I'm going type bin.
I know, it's just like, it's just almost a psychic moment here, right? Just... All right, so I want to paint this vase in. So I'm going to take some phthalo blue and a little ultramarine blue, kind of put those together, and I'm going to just go ahead and paint the vase in like this, and I'm going to paint it all one color. Yes, yes, and yes. Little angle brush here. This is a Ruby Satin Silver Bright, Ruby Satin Silver angle brush, and it's a short handle, and it's a 3/8 inch. And they're neat because they just, what you do when you're painting something like this, don't outline, start in the middle and kind of work your way out. You know, that's the secret. If you outline, if you don't like it, then you're stuck with whatever. But you can always erase the chalk. If you think if you drew something slightly better than the chalk, you can always erase that chalk. Now in acrylics, you start from you start with your darkest color first, and then you go lighter. Okay, so let's just kind of cut that off a little bit here. There we go. So there we go. So there's my vase. I'll kind of come out here to the. All right. So there's the vase. Okay. Now, all right. There's our. All right. Now I'm going to take some white and phthalo blue and a little yellow, and make this sort of turquoise color. And while this is still wet, I'm going to come up like this on this side, and just using the side of my brush, kind of smudge that in. Let's do it again. A little bit of yellow, a little bit of white. Now, I'm not putting any blue on there because I've already got the blue on there. Maybe I'll put a little blue on there. There we go. A little bit of white. That's the phthalo blue, by the way. Okay. So I want this sort of green color. It's like a turquoise, and let me just blend this out here like this. A little bit more phthalo blue and white on that. There we go. So this is my light color here, like that. Don't bring it all the way down, but just sort of like that. Okay, and then I might take a little of this, blue color here and just barely touch it, come across there like that. A little bit of blue here with a shadow. Okay, and that's pretty much it for the vase. Now it could be slightly lighter because acrylics dry darker, so let's take a little bit, let's lighten this up just a hair, and just come up here and lighten this up just a bit on the vase, like that. Okay, so there's our light vase, which is pretty cool, right? And then if you want to rinse your brush and take a little bit of the white and purple, dazzling purple, a little bit more white here, and come right up to the vase like this. This is why you want to brush with a good edge, otherwise it's hard to do it. Maybe you want to pull it, and so maybe about a couple fingers up. Make sure that you don't have any globs of paint on your brush. Start right here. Take a little bit of white here, right like this, and pull some light here, like this, on the side here, like that. And to see how that's made the vase show up a little bit, and maybe I'll just come under here like this and show just a bit of light coming up this way, like that. And I'll add a little bit more light later, but that's one of the tricks. Wherever there's a light, there's a dark, and I'm going to come right next to the vase on this side with purple and come up in this direction. And that sort of gives your, just sort of taper that down here. Okay, like that. Come up this way. Just pull and lift your brush up like that. Okay. So now see how this vase is starting to show up where it didn't before? And that's one of the things, one of the things I do is personal art coaching. And probably the number one thing I end up telling people from one degree or another is you want contrast. You want lights and darks. And so if I put a little bit of a dark under here, kind of around the bottom of this vase a bit, come up here like this, I might just put, he didn't have much of a shadow, so I'm just kind of putting a little shadow right there where it is. It's all kind of dark back here. All right, so now what I get to do here is I can take a little bit of white now on my brush. This is still wet, a little bit tacky. 1, 2, just a couple white streaks right like that. And then one more time, wipe the brush, barely touch it, a little bit of white, a little whiter. There you go. So that's the highlight on the vase. Isn't that neat? I mean, you got to admit, that's kind of fun how that works. And then I can even come back up here like this, next to here, and do something lighter if I want. And look how that's going to show up. And I'll just blend that out just a bit. Okay. The same thing here like this. I'll just come up here and just fix that. So look how you can make something pop out. All right. So I've got to dry this now before we do the flowers. Yeah? You got anything going here we can do while I dry?
Give me a second, see how long it takes this thing to load.
All right, so John's loading something. Let me show you one more thing. I think I can turn around real quick and get it.
Don't.
I wanted to show you, if you like flower paintings on YouTube, we have a pile of those. We probably, Flowers and Vases, one of our playlists, we probably have 30 different floral paintings. Here's one, which was one of our most popular. Okay, really, really pretty. Here's another one. This was a Rodin one. Okay, another YouTube one. If you haven't subscribed to this channel and painted some of these, it's gorgeous. Here's another one, Monet, I think this was, or one of the old dead guys, right? And again, something similar in the flowers, slightly different, but something similar. So again, we probably have 25 of these up there. YouTube, our fans seem to like flowers. And as long as we're talking about stuff we've done in the past, a few weeks ago we did a portrait of Vincent van Gogh on YouTube. This was, we have showed you how to trace it on, and then just paint it in this. He did, I think we mentioned it before, he did a bunch of different portraits of himself. I'm talking about, he was like the selfie king, right? Really, with the portraits. And this was fun because of all the reds and greens and stuff. But we started to challenge people. We said, you guys, once you do this, let's do your own selfie and post it in our Facebook challenge. It ends at the end of July. We ran it for about 6 weeks. And let's see what you've done. Did you know we've had over 90?
Yeah, we're at 98.
We're at 98 selfies, and I can't believe, I'm loving it. Not only am I seeing what you guys all look like, because I see your photograph in your picture, and I'm putting faces to names, but everybody's doing fantastic. So if you haven't done a selfie, we'd love to see 100 of these at least. Come on, you guys. If you haven't done your selfie yet, and someone's going to say, Ginger, where's your selfie? I have not done a selfie yet.
Not yet.
But I did a wonderful one of John, a selfie of John.
It was wonderful.
I did a beautiful painting of John one time. So
you've done me twice. I was Santa one time, and then you did me at.
Yeah, and that. So there. Anyways, you haven't done that. This is too cool. Yeah.
Those last flowers she showed are all on YouTube, right?
Yeah, those are all YouTube ones.
That's all YouTube. The three I showed are on the Academy site.
On the Academy site.
So we have them both places.
We have them both places. We're not shorting anybody, but if you want to really get into the nitty-gritty, the advanced, and the more detailed stuff, the longer lessons, and you know, that's what you want. Okay, so this is still wet, so I'm going to dry that for just a minute.
I can do this now. I think I can do this.
I'm going to dry this. This is tacky.
Okay, so
yeah?
just give me a second.
You were saying?
This is something new. This is new software we're playing with.
Oh, we got new software, you guys. This is really cool. Did you notice we started on time and everything? We're really making an effort to.
We're trying to up our game.
We're trying, you know, we study all the time. How could we make this better? You're not the only ones that learn things. We're learning stuff every day about how to make this TV stuff work and these cameras and all this stuff.
All right, I'm going to try it now.
Ready?
Yeah. Well, that's not, oh, I picked the wrong button. Well, anyway, this was from a couple weeks ago. I think it was Michael Fettis did this. I've got to bring it up to see if I have his name on it. And this is in the Academy. It's called Fireline. Yeah, Michael Fettis. And this is going to be one of the best ones we have seen. The people were done magnificently. The lighting he achieved, he even put on, what did Michael put on his Fireline for the texture of the bark? Wait, don't talk. Now you can talk.
Michael put modeling paste on it and let it dry, and then when he dry brushed over the red, it made this in the dark. It was fantastic, wasn't it? Michael Fettis, just really one of my favorite paintings of his. Though he did a really good self-portrait of himself, you know. I was going to kid Michael about that because with the name Michael Fettis, I always think of, you know, a 28-year-old lifeguard, you know. But Michael's just up in our age group, and maybe he wasn't a lifeguard when he was younger, but that's the, I don't know, you know.
But he should have been.
But he should have been, right? Anyway, that Fireline is terrific that he did, and that's another one of these tutorials on YouTube. We have, not YouTube, but on our Art Academy. We have so many different styles of things to paint. All right, so we're back to our vase here. You guys are with me. We're going to take a pencil now, and what I want you to do is I want you to come down like from about here to here, about 3 fingers, and I wanted you to just draw a triangle like this, okay? Just draw a triangle like this, and then I want you to come over here and draw maybe a rectangle. Won't go down that far, a little rectangle like this, and I want a little rectangle like this, okay? And maybe a little triangle here, and then a triangle coming up this way. I want to just make sure I don't get that up too high. And then, let's see, up above this triangle, we've got a triangle here, and one this way that's going to come behind here. Okay, okay. Then I've got on this corner of the vase, I've got sort of a triangle right there. And then I've got one kind of going out the side here, and one up this way, okay? Now that's basically the placement for these flowers, all right? But they're not triangles. And what happens is that I've seen people do lilacs, and oh, you know what? We have another lilac one on YouTube. We've got this lilac in this white, there's another lilac one on YouTube. I think we sold that painting, but we've got it. It's lilacs and a white flower in a vase. Another YouTube lilac lesson. Guys, by the way, we do have it. So here's what happens, and I see this all the time. Let's just make this vase a little smaller for government work here, right? All right, so here's our vase, right? So what I see is that people do this, and then they wonder why their flowers don't look like anything, right? That's how they do their lilacs, okay? Not what we want to do. I want you to notice that these. Do you see this little space in here and see these little raggedy edges? These little spaces? It's not just a complete, this is, even though technically that's a straight line, look at all the little jagged places it goes in. Look how it goes in. It's very jaggedy, okay? So if you don't get it painted that way at first, you've got to come back with some dark colors and poke holes back in your lilacs, okay? It's okay if you don't quite get it the first time, but you've got to come back and think about the shapes. And if you're not sure, here's what I'm going to tell you to do. Don't just take my word for it. I want you to go to Google Images and just Google photographs of lilacs and vases look at some different ones, kind of study them a little bit. Try to get the shapes, because they're made up of multiple tiny flowers. And we're not going to paint each little flower like this. We're not going to do that. We're going to do little dots of flowers, little dots, but then when they're going to feel like lilacs because of the way we shade them. But that's basically what I want you to avoid is you want to have some spaces. See this big space right here? And even though I might put up a couple leaves like this, okay? And then let's get back to leaves, because people seem to have trouble with that shape too. How many people have ever held or looked at a football? Or how about an eye? So really, if you think about, there's a leaf like this, and maybe the shape's going to be something like this. Okay, so it's the same idea, yeah.
Yes.
So
yes.
think about the shapes. All right, he's got one's coming. All right, we'll put the leaves later. All right, so here we go. We're going to start with a very small brush. This is a quarter-inch angle, ruby satin silver angle, and we're just going to use this little bits of fur right here. These little
bits of fur.
Well, it's really acrylic. It's not really fur. No animal died in making this brush. Here,
nobody got a haircut.
Nobody got hurt. So, but we're going to use that, and we're going to start with. I'm going to take a palette knife, and we're not going to start. We're going to take some white paint here like this. I'm going to kind of smush it up right like that. And I'm going to take a tiny bit, like less than 1% of ultramarine blue and add to that, okay? Like this. Going to add a little bit of that, and I'm going to take a tiny bit of cad red medium, like less than 1%, like that. Add it to that. And I'm going to make this sort of gray color. Very light gray. All right? And here we go. All right, so there you go. I think I even had a little yellow in there from something else, but that's okay. So now I'm going to start with that, and I've got a little glob of paint on the brush, yeah? All right, so now let's just start here. I'm going to start with the tip here, like this, and I'm going to just tap it on there. See, I'm barely touching it. John, if you want to get close in.
Oh, we are close.
I'm barely touching it.
Oh, you get closer for a few.
And as I come up this way, you see how I'm making sort of an uneven edge? I know I've got the guide of the triangle, and you want to overlap the brush strokes. You want to be touching. It's not like stars on a flag. These are overlapping it, and because the paint is a little thicker in places, it will give it almost a three-dimensional quality to it just because it's thicker. Now here's a little trick you may not know. If you're painting on an easel, don't get your hand above your ear. Stand up, lower the easel, raise the chair. The other thing you can do is you can take the paint like this on something like a palette knife, right, like this, and get it right so you don't have to go far. Come on, aren't you glad you watched this? This was worth the price of admission, just learning this trick, wasn't it? And see how I've got these little tiny little spots of paint. It's fairly thick. And for those of you who are maybe a little more advanced and further along in painting, you can add a little medium to this, like a gel medium or an impasto. And
that was just asked. Would this be a good painting to add modeling paste to?
It would be, particularly for these flowers, absolutely. But you have to still do this one at a time, and then you would have to dry it very thoroughly before you went back to glaze it, maybe the next day. Though modeling paste actually dries faster than gels. And another thing is that Matisse makes something called an impasto medium, which is awesome. I have some. I should really show it to you sometime. It's really good. It's softer than a gel. It's more whipped, like whipped butter, and it's not heavy like a modeling paste. And it's actually very effective.
How's the drying properties? It dry quicker?
Well, you still have to let it dry. But all right, do you see what I'm coming now? I want to come over here a little bit and start another one right next to it. This is another one coming up here like that. Just come up this way.
And you're just using the corner?
Just the corner. It's all I'm doing, and just tapping it upside, tap, tap, tap like a woodpecker. Coming up here like this. And I noticed that this one, you see how beautifully that paints in? Now, I'm not going to do this one because I'll get my hand in the paint.
Really?
I'm going to come up here like this. Yeah, I'm thinking about this. I'm going to come up here to this one and suggest that we've got, now don't get it too fat, barely touch it. do little tiny, there's a temptation to want to do a big blob like that. Please don't do that. Okay? I'm just showing you. Don't do that. Because you want, believe it or not.
Air. They got to breathe, right?
Yeah, they've got to breathe. And so you want to just sit there, and they're all kind of piled in here together. Yeah? And this is the trick. Little tiny brush strokes. Now I'm going to come up here like this.
Hey, we'd like to thank Jamie Rice for their donation that came in through PayPal. We have enough now to do 3 7-day.
Awesome, Jamie. Thank you very much. We appreciate that very much.
We match you dollar for dollar, and that gave us enough money to do another one. So we have three lucky people will be joining the Academy for 7 days of the video lesson library.
And you have like 30 days to use it, right?
Yeah.
All right, so now we're going to come back over here and say there's one this way. I think I had a leaf here first underneath it, but that's okay. We're all right. We can still do one here. We're going to still put in one here like this. This one is coming down here like this. This one really came in less of a, it had less of a point on it. I was very interested in the shapes of his. I grew up with lilacs growing up our driveway as a kid. The smell is so phenomenal. They don't grow in Houston. But boy, if you're lucky enough to live somewhere where they're in the summer, these are the most delightful flowers. But we have magnolias that have beautiful scents to them too. Okay, this is almost more of a rectangle, but I'll have some of it, just barely touch it, little tiny flowers like that, just a few little dots. Say something like that. You see how this isn't hard. It's, I think maybe tedious is a good word, but it's not hard particularly. Does that make sense to you guys? It's really not hard. We're going to just keep up in this one and just keep adding flowers. And come up this way. And they all sort of, you know, they're all sort of bunched in here in the plant, in the vase. They all kind of meet somewhere.
And by doing it this way, you've got a lot of different sizes you're creating.
Yeah, exactly. And remember I said this one kind of came down like this, and then kind of there's that little funny little triangular shape here. And keep getting paint. Don't, I mean, you'll notice about every, how many dots, 3 or 4 dots, I get more paint. Don't get cheap with the paint on me. Okay, so you can wipe off your brush, get a little more, a little glob, just barely touch it. And again, this is, it's a great technique for, you know, putting in little flowers. All right, so we said this one was kind of coming up this way. And I don't want to get it too high up to the top of my painting up here like this. And I'm going to add to this one. And I've got one that's kind of coming this way. Up this way and over. Don't know where it's going, but it's up here. It's all part of this group. But if you break down the shape a little bit, that can be very helpful. I think we said that was the, I think we said that we had something coming up this way. There were some leaves there. And this was sort of a separate one that was coming up like this. And then we had a nice big one here that was kind of away from all of these guys. It's a little bit away. There's a little space between it. And we've got this one. See, we're just getting at that. Any questions, John, as I sit here and happily tap dots?
No.
Okay, so I've got your rapt attention, huh? It's going to sit a little bit like watching grass grow, probably.
Ginger's dots of paint already look like flowers. When I try this, they end up looking like globs of paint.
Tiny little dots, barely, and remember, raggedy edges.
You plop and go.
Plop and go, right? And I think we said we had another one coming down here like this. Don't get the dots too big. Try to do this really small. And again, get these raggedy edges coming down. That's really important. And overlap, you know, you're touching, each dot's touching the other one, but there somehow ends up being sometimes little spaces. This is coming down here like that. Maybe it's a little wider over here. Okay, so look how much paint it took. It took quite a bit of paint. You saw how much was on this palette knife. And then I got somebody coming out this way. Okay. Again, this is not white, this is an off-white. We're going to take it off this way. And I'll tell you what, I want to wish my daughter Cinnamon a happy birthday today. The July 1st was her birthday. And she was born in Aspen, Colorado. She was the only baby born that week. Can you imagine? Everybody in town went up to see the new baby born in the hospital. And
so she was a star before she
was a star, and people said she was the prettiest baby they'd ever seen. Of course, they told their mothers that, you know, and mom's going, of course, naturally, you know, just, yes, she is, of course, right? But she really was an interesting kid when she was born because she had that perfect skin that was like a peach, you know, she had that peach complexion that was just, it was really an interesting baby. I think back, this is the day, I had a cousin, and what he did for his mother on his birthday, he always sent his mother flowers. He thanked her. I thought that was nice. Different idea, isn't it? Sent his mother flowers on his birthday. Okay, so I can see that I'm going to have a few more. And did you notice that all the paint was gone?
I noticed that right away.
And so
someone asked, can you put these on with a palette knife instead of a brush?
No. Even if you
it'd be very,
no, that would be dumb.
Well, no.
You want to use a brush, but you can do the thick medium. When people think that there's a palette knife, that there's some stupid rule that you just ought to do the whole thing with a palette knife, you know, that's just like you only can cook eggs with a spatula. God forbid you should use a fork on them. I don't know, but you just know you don't want to do a palette knife. You want something. They make a rubber tool it's got a rubber tip tool. It looks like an eraser, and they're carved. Oh, yeah. And I've bought those before, but I've never been happy with how they delivered the paint. It just doesn't.
The angle brush on the corner just seals the deal. Hey, we'd like to thank Cassia for the donation. It's greatly appreciated.
Oh, thank you. Awesome. All right, so you can kind of see this one could have been a little flatter right in here, right? And maybe I'm going to come out. These two are kind of in a row here. He did that. I think I'm going to bring this one out a little more. I'm going to just bring this one out. I know we're going to have a leaf there, but I want to bring this one out and maybe a little bit closer to the vase. Let's just come back here a little bit closer to the vase in here like this, and maybe bring this down a little bit.
Hey, we'd also like to thank Joanne for the donation.
Oh, Joanne, thank you.
And we will now offer a 30-day membership to the Academy, which includes what, Ginger?
Personal art coaching. We got a 30-day Academy membership. Now, you guys, aren't you kind of amazed at how this worked? I mean, it didn't take us long to do it. Yes and yes? You see, it really didn't, yeah?
2.5 hours later.
Come on, it's not. Now, look, if we were doing this 30 by 40.
You'd use a bigger brush.
Well, if you look at what he did.
He did 20 by 24.
He went ahead and he tried to paint in all the little star patterns on his big brush. He made little tiny star flowers.
Well, it's a 20 by 24, so they must be big.
Yeah, they're big. So he made them, if you were doing a barely giant painting, I guess you could, but I don't think it needs it. I think this is I think it gives the same effect. And it's, again, you gotta, this is probably a little bit more impressionistic.
What about a Q-tip? So you think anything that's like that, like a Q-tip or sponge, is going to be identical pattern. Whereas the brush, the hairs are being pushed differently. You're getting more randomness. Yeah, so I mean, I know that, for instance, Cinnamon's got a very successful video on using Q-tips, and that certainly is a good, introductory technique to doing flowers, and that's something you can do. And people, and I'm not against using sponge on rocks, for instance, and you can do stuff. But this is, I think, a little what I would call a little more painterly, and you're going to get away more from the, and I say this with great love, you're going to get away from more of the a painting that looks like you just started painting and that you've just delved your toe into it, and people are going to go, surely you didn't paint that. Delved your toe into it. And I mean, you've got to start somewhere, and I think those are good things. And it depends on the style. For instance, like, did you know that if you want a horse, if you paint a horse, like we did a horse painting like that, if you wanted the horse to look more cartoony, you would paint the eye larger than the horse would have. Right. You paint a big eye. I saw a couple of those come back where the eye got real big. But that's the style of painting. There's all kinds of ways to paint something.
I mean, this is the thing about Impressionism, realism, photorealism. There's so many different ways to paint something, and what I try to do is I don't try to teach you, and I'll say Cinema doesn't either. She tries to show you different ways to accomplish a task, right? And for instance, it's fun, you know, if you need to do an arch somewhere, sometimes it's fun to do, you know, to go find a pot lid or something to one of your pots and pans and then trace the arch, trace the curve. I'm all for grabbing whatever you've got that's handy and seeing what it'll do. I've seen people, for instance, say you've got an old brush that's kind of had it, right? Say you've got an old brush that's kind of had it. I've seen people just take scissors and cut the brush off and then use it like this for some other mark. Anytime you can get your tools to make interesting marks on your canvas, that's a good thing. I don't want to imply that I don't think it is. All right, that's pretty much all that paint right there. That's it. We've used it up. Now, did you notice that my white highlights almost disappeared too? Did you see that?
I did see. I was witnessing that.
So that's what happens too. You didn't go crazy. It just they
disappeared.
They disappeared on you. And as long as we're in the light paint, I think I'll get the brush out, this thing out again. I want to just put there. Just going to put a light highlight on my vase and smudge it with my fingers too. I mean, we've got a video on YouTube on how to finger paint flowers. All kinds of ways to do it. One. Yeah, so I'm going to dry this, and then we're going to put some leaves in, and I'm going to show you how to glaze back these flowers.
Ooh, I get to try my thingy again.
Okay.
All right, you ready, boss?
Yeah.
Okay, and go.
Okay, so run it.
So that's why people say you guys should have a camera with you 24 hours a day, always constantly running.
Well, you should run that and ask me that again. I think we could add this, right? Run the camera again.
Camera's running. What am I saying?
Well, John, I think we got to welcome people to our Facebook club. You know, because we're getting the word's getting out. People really, I tell you, I'm looking at John here. Maybe I'm looking at you, but I'm looking at John. John, we've got to be telling people how much we appreciate the fact they joined our club. What a neat place it is to be. Don't you think that's a great idea?
I think it's a great idea.
Do you know how I know that it's a great idea?
How do you know it's a great idea?
Because brilliance happens in this room. See ya. Bye.
The Queen's wave.
The Queen of Color is waving. Bye.
Bye. What do you expect it to do?
I don't know. Did you stop it?
Should I stop it?
Probably so. Bye.
Bye. How many byes you going to give us?
Till you turn off the camera, sweet cakes.
How do you know it's not on? How do you know it's on?
I don't know.
So you could be sitting there being a total fool.
Well, I don't have to have the camera on to do that. Bye.
Bye-bye. Are you through?
Yeah, bye. Did you turn it off?
We're back. Oh, what do you guys think of that one?
That's fun, right?
That's one of my fun ones.
Yes and yes. Was that sort of fun? Okay, so we've dried this, yeah. And there's actually, if you feel yours, if you're doing this, there's a little bit of texture to it, even if you didn't use
paste or
paste. But unless you happen to be using a fluid paint. Now, if you're using a paint like Flow, like a golden fluid paint like this, if you're using that, it'll just be totally flat, so you won't get that effect. And you really do kind of want that sort of effect. So
it gives it the oil painting effect.
This, yeah, it gives you the oil painting effect, right? As opposed to the watercolor effect, right? Where it's flat.
We have a question here. When you use your easel, is there a specific angle you set it to be more ergonomically correct? Or is it just more of a personal preference?
That is an excellent question, because generally for instance, all right, I want you to imagine, just for the fun of it, go sit down in a chair and take a piece of paper and tape it up to the wall and try to draw on it, and how awkward that is. Most easels are set where they'll tilt back a little bit. and forward. You want something that sort of tilts a little bit. Now, how far and back depends on your height and all that stuff. But straight up and down is very unpleasant. And so you definitely want it to
really
tilt
hard.
a little. The trick is that the easels are designed to go up and down. And if you can get a good chair, and I always tell people, don't buy the chair at the art store, because they want double for what an office supply store wants for a chair, because they're calling it an art chair. And I swear to God, these are just chairs, friends. They're stools and stuff, right? And I mean, over the years, I have made the mistake of being suckered into buying all kinds of chairs. I'm like Goldilocks with the chairs, all right? And I'm always looking for the quintessence. I've tried stools and chairs, and I've decided I like things with armrests, chairs with armrests, and I want it to go up and down, particularly an easel. And my easel goes up and down. And this is very important, because when you get your hand over your ear, all the blood starts to run out of your arm. So you either have to stand up. Now, I have friends like Cinnamon, my daughter Cinnamon, she just stands when she paints. That's too tiring for me. I'm not sitting. But, you know, my friend Lorraine, I talked her into buying a chair. She won't use it. She just insists on standing. But then she walks like 5 miles a day. So, you know, maybe standing isn't such a big deal for her. So, you know, it's all personal preference. How's that? But for sure you want to tilt the easel and a little bit. You don't want it just flat.
And again, that's personal preference. You got to feel
at
the
that
angle
point,
for
you know,
yourself.
then it's your body size and how tall you are, and you know
how you're sitting.
How you're sitting. All right, so I want to put some leaves in here, and I want this sort of olive green color. So I'm going to take some ultramarine blue and yellow, and I'm going to make an olive green color. Yes and yes. And I'm going to add a little bit of yellow oxide to that, because there's a little more red in that. Yeah. And let's try that. So I remember when you have an angle brush, I think I want a leaf coming this way, and I'm just going to curve the brush. Yeah, I twisted the brush around, then I'll take a little bit of white paint on it.
Again, you're using your one of your angle brushes?
I'm using the same little angle brush I did the flowers with. A little bit of white paint on here like this. Oops, too much. All right, here we go. Turn that around like this. Here's my lighter thing. Now, let's just wipe that brush off a little bit. So
can Ginger show us what's on her t-shirt, please?
Yeah, sure. This is one of our t-shirts we have on our in our store.
Wait a minute, let me pop over to your...
John can show you what that is.
No,
it's in our
I
store.
can't.
It's called Art for the Soul.
Push yourself back to see a little bit. I made you big. It's
Yeah.
Art for the Soul, and
it's the picture of Mulberry Hill. It's one of our painting lessons on our academy. It's called Art for the Soul.
Yeah, it's a great lesson.
So anyway, that's one. Okay, you saw this one. I'm going to come down here from this one and do the same thing. Maybe put a little bit more ultramarine blue here. Make this one a little darker. Kind of curve that one down. Okay. Then I'm going to put a couple up here. Remember we talked about that. Maybe like this. Let's say that there's another one and coming up this way, and I think I'll put one here. I didn't really, so you don't have to, you know, because I got a space. Yeah, and then for sure I want one here that's going to curve around. I might have to go over some of my flowers, but I know how to put them back, yeah? I know how to put the flowers back. So this is where I might want a little water on the brush, wipe it off so it flows a little easier. And a little bit of white here, and I'm going to say that I want this to be lighter here on this side. I'm going to curve it, and then look what I'm doing. I'm curving it, spinning it around to a point like this, curving it in. There's that one. Here's a little leaf coming up this way like that. Now, there's not that many leaves, believe it or not. There's maybe one tucked down here somewhere like that. There's a few leaves. Could maybe make that one a little bit wider here like this. Okay, now there is some greenery in here, but it's not leaves. Now, we're going to take this color, this light green color we made, yeah, and I want to come back up here like this and just do a few dots of green on this side of my left side of my lilacs. Maybe add a few like this, and even make these a little wider. Do like that. Over here, I'll add a few little green ones, and I want that up there. I'm going to suggest there's a leaf that's kind of hidden under here, so I'm just going to put a few green dots right up in here like this. Maybe it's, there we go. Over here, got a little bit more of an olive green tone, And then in a few places, I'm just going to add some green to the left side of my lilacs, maybe something in here like that. Okay? Well, it's kind of neat, isn't it? I mean, really, when you think about it, just maybe in here a little bit. Let's say this is in here. Not that much to do, yeah? So then you're saying, well, then what? Well, here's the trick. Oh, there's tricks. Now I'm going to rinse the brush, and I'm going to get some dark purple and a little magenta. And I want it right in here. I'm going to poke a few holes in my plants because I want the contrast. So I'm going to come in here like this with the dots, and I'm going to say I want this darker right here, this little area darker. And I'm going to come up here like this in this little area here and just poke an uneven shape in here. So even if you didn't get it so perfect, you can come back and maybe a little bit darker right here because I want the contrast. Right in here, a little contrast. I want a little darker here because I want the contrast. Maybe under here too, I want a little contrast. I'm going to make it a little darker here.
I'll remind everybody to go ahead and enter the contest. We're going to start our first drawing will be for a 7-day membership.
Yeah, you want to start. You might want to start doing that.
What'd I just say?
Good for you. Oops, there's some yellow there. Let's get rid of that. Okay. So you see how you can come back and kind of refine this a little bit. Here's a little bit of purple and magenta.
Again, what's acrylics about? It's all about layers.
Layers. And so here's a little of this magenta color. Now I've got a little of this magenta color I might just put over here with a little bit of white on it in purple. So I'm going to say that there's a little bit of, this is a sort of a shadow color here. And in here like this on this side, I'm going to add a little bit of this light purple like that. Don't have a lot of it, but in a couple places I want to say that it's up here on these flowers. Okay. For sure, let's take a little bit of this magenta and white. I don't know if you noticed in the break I put some more white out. There's a little bit of, let's take some ultramarine blue now and white. Put a little bit of this color in. Okay, now this is our shadow colors. Now we could have glazed this back, but I think in this case I'm kind of glad we're dotting it on here because I want to just, there we go, dot this on just in a couple places like that. And isn't it interesting how we've got these lilacs and we haven't done much of that much. So for me, I mean, you can see how we've got this beautiful pattern of lilacs, and we've got these shadows, and we've got these deep holes in here like that. Like in here like that, there's a deep hole in that flower. And maybe on this side, I'll just come up here like that and make a deep hole in that flower, so you got some real contrast.
Joyce would like to know, how does the thumbs up help you on YouTube?
You know, Joyce, YouTube is a mystery to me. We know that when you comment after the show, that YouTube says, well, there's an audience engagement, they're interested. We know that when you share the video with other people, YouTube is more likely to share the video. There's so many factors involved in getting these videos out to be seen to people. And also, you know, the thumbs down doesn't hurt us. It's just kind of rude, right? But if, you know, if we did a video and there were 100 thumbs down, we'd get the idea that people really hated it, right? That kind of thing. But basically, the thumbs up is just a way of, you know, kind of voting for us, and we appreciate it. So I don't know, you know, helping is the right word, but it does, you know.
It doesn't hinder.
It doesn't hurt, and we appreciate it, you know.
We would like to congratulate Kate Chandler for the winner of a 7-day membership to the Academy.
Good for you, Kate. That's awesome. That is awesome.
We'll send you an email after the show to explain to you what to do.
Now, let's see. I had a color wheel right here, and we're going to go back to our color wheel theory. Most of you know this, but you may have forgotten. But one of the things you can do with the painting is to have a little color surprise. Now, orange is the opposite of kind of turquoise on the color wheel. And so if you've got turquoise in the blue vase, if you put a bit of orange right here, right like that, what happens is you don't need much. And we're just going to say that there's a bit of orange here, maybe up here. And then that would have a little bit of yellow in it. And I'll take a little bit of Cad Red Medium and magenta on the side here. Just do this. See, just a little bit of color. It's not a lot, just a little bit of color here on the side. Like that, just something. There we go. Don't need much. Just gives it a little bit of pizzazz, and that's why. Somebody says, well, why did you do that? That's why I did it. So, but that was a good, you know, there's been some good questions tonight. We appreciate those. I want to take a little bit of white now and come up here again next to my vase and just, ooh, I don't want that. I can fix it later. I want some light right here like this. Okay, because we're just going to barely touch it. Dry brush isn't wet, slightly damp. Okay, I just need that a little bit brighter right there. Here's a little bit of dark right there to cover up that. Make sure that that corner's rounded a bit. Okay. So now, what would we do next with this? Well, one thing we could do is, this is pretty dry, is you could take, and if you don't have any, that's okay. You can just wait till your painting is really dry and use a little water, like a tea stain. And I'm going to put a little bit of, this is called satin glazing liquid from Golden. You can buy a container about this big instead of this big, which I would recommend, because this will be a lifetime worth of use, because you don't use very much. And I want a little bit of shades. I want some shadows in these part of the lilacs on the right. So I'm going to take a little tiny bit of ultramarine blue and this glazing medium. Make sure that I don't have any other color on the brush. And I'm going to just glaze back, just barely touch it over this white. I'm just going to glaze back some of these flowers right here on this side, which it's a lighter color than that purple I just put, right? I'll glaze that back, maybe right over the green in a couple places. It's going to catch and kind of just a little bit there like that. Just glaze those back. Just, it's there, okay, but not that much, right? This side a little bit. It'll catch, and because this is rough, it's going to catch in the crevices too. So this is kind of a subtle thing, but it's very effective. And then what you can do.
Yet another tip, another trick.
I know. The other thing, now we're going to go into pure white. Now we're going to go into pure white. Look, I just got blue on my thumb now. How am I doing that? We just don't know. We'd
like to thank Batty Belfry for the donation. We have now enough for a second 30-day.
John, would you like to do another?
Yes, I'm going to have
John's
to.
going to do a couple more drawings while you're waiting to see. I want to put, while he's looking for who's winning, I've got the light coming from this side. So now what I want to do is I want to put pure white in a few places, and that's going to really show up, okay? So I will try to keep it on the left-hand side, and I'm going to use the same little tiny brush. Now, these little dots here, just touch it, are much it's much whiter. Here we go. Okay? I'm going to make sure that my brush is nice and clean. And what's going to happen is that where it's really white, okay, so like right here, let's remember we're going to go over this leaf a little bit. And over these other, and you just don't put it everywhere. You want to catch the viewer light. So if you were to shine on a light on this, it'll look very bright. And you see I'm getting quite a bit of paint. I'm going to come up here like this. I know this is subtle stuff, but this, when you do a light on it, you're going to see what I'm talking about. This will, you don't do every dot, but you just do a few. of the brighter color. Because remember, we did this in gray. So that when you do this, you put these little bits of light, kind of, and keep it to the left so that you're still, keep it to the left-hand side of each one of these. So when you're doing this, okay, what you're saying is that this is your next layer of color.
We'd like to congratulate Lady Fair for winning of a 1-credit downloadable lesson.
Oh, good! Congratulations, congratulations, and Lady Fair, that's awesome. And we appreciate you guys all hanging in here with us. We yeah, just can you guys see the difference? And look how close this painting is to this. Incidentally,
to what?
Just saying how close they are as far as, you know, being a lot alike, right?
Oh, yeah.
And maybe over here, let's just do a couple little tiny dots here. Not so much. I'm going to say mostly on this hand side. Come over this leaf a little bit. This is where it gets really fun. You know, painting is just about, a lot of times, it's just kind of depicting patterns. People that even though I'm not a math person, math and music people are very good at painting. But, you know, just accountants, believe it or not, make good artists. Because there's a lot, you know, they recognize patterns easily. Okay, so we're just going to come up here like this to this one. Okay, like that. So there's our nice little bright colors. Now you can overdo it. I don't want to do too much, but I want to just say that here's our light, our next layer. And I'll tell you what, if you're doing this with impasto medium, it's going to look great. Let's see, let's just connect these like this. This is my, like I say, my next little layer of color. And now, man, this vase just pops down. See, I didn't do so much of those. I just kind of kept it over to this side. Didn't do that one. Didn't do every one of these, but might do this one.
We'd like to congratulate Lori Riley, winner of a 7-day VLL membership at the Academy.
Awesome. Congratulations. That is terrific. Okay, so that, you guys, is our, congratulations, Lori. That's really cool. Can you see that that's our, wow, I touched something. Well, this has just been the day.
Another tub of towel?
Yeah, this, I'm telling you, this is a 3-tub of towel painting. I'm going to put this, move that rag, just like wipe the paintbrush off and then touch the rag. So there we go. All right. So,
are you done with this one?
I think we're done with this, you guys. I feel like we're done with it. Do we need to do any? I guess we could look at it, because what you want to do is say, what could I do and not ruin the effect? I mean, did I want to just brighten up something like in a couple places here? I want to just put a little something there, maybe a little yellow dot there, something like that. But I don't want to get too crazy with it, because there's our picture. Do I want to take a little bit of light color right here? I want to make sure I have this light behind my vase right here, which we do, and make sure that this is light right here like that. Make sure it's sort of a light purple color and not yellow. Maybe we'll do a little magenta. Don't just like having a little magenta in here either. There's our shadow, so our shadow shows up. That's pretty much it, you guys. That's the picture. And if you think about it, this wasn't particularly learned. Let's just talk about what we learned. We learned how to easily draw on a vase, how to paint it dark first and start adding layers, how to define shapes like triangles and rectangles to see the placement of the flowers, how to make uneven little bits of flowers so it's just not one giant loop of things, how to not use a lot of water on the brush, use small brushes. Now, in all fairness, someone's going to ask, you know, I don't have a brush that's that small. What could I use? You know, people ask about a Q-tip, but one thing you can use is another little brush and just do little dots like this. It's smaller than a Q-tip. And if you don't have a small enough brush, you can use another brush, the end of a brush that's small, and dip it in paint and touch and dab. That does work, okay? Just in case you wanted to know that. Because not everybody has all these tools, and that's something that you can definitely do. Yeah? So I think what we'll take a moment and do the Posca pen and sign this. I'll sign this, and then while John's
we're going to show, we want you to show your ultimate.
I want to show you the ultimate. Let's see, where did you put the ultimate?
Sign this. I want to clear that away.
Okay,
I want any more paint on
sign
it.
this, and
hey,
then
we would like to congratulate Chris Fitzgerald, winner of a 1-credit downloadable lesson.
Okay, there we go. Cook, we've signed it, signed the name, put the red slash through, which is my logo, and like that.
I'm going to butcher this next name.
I'm going to just put a little bit of this red here. I want it just a bit brighter here. There, just pop that color out a bit, yeah? So while John is getting another winner, you have another winner?
We'll get that one.
He's going to move this for me, and we're going to show you the ultimate, what we call an ultimate lesson.
Just so you have an idea.
Just to have an idea about how you can go up in increments and keep building your skills. I think there's this crazy idea that just because you're new and have never painted before, you can't paint something pretty spectacular. We have proof, you know, we've had hundreds of students who are all able to do that.
Don't put it down yet.
Check our Facebook club and watch what people are painting. I mean, I'm telling you what, we've got some portrait artists now just from that selfie challenge. I think you got to just really be willing to expand what you do a little bit. Are you ready for me to put this down?
Yes.
This is what we call an ultimate lesson. This is a 24 by 18. This will be released this July in our academy.
Hopefully,
and, you know,
7.5 hours.
7.5 hour tutorial, okay? And it's a violin and an old inkwell and a pen and envelope and some books. And it is part of our library series. We have a whole series of paintings that are in these earth tones that are kind of library books and pens and you know, wonderful. I don't know, I think we have 4 or 5 a book series of this. We even have a book and a coffee cup and a pair of glasses. So if you like this kind of thing, this is what we call the ultimate.
There used to be a box of cookie lessons. It's now an
now
ultimate.
It's ultimate. But now here's the thing. If you think about it, the technique of how to do this type of blending, I teach you in both the intermediate.
In the Apple. Everything is taught in the Apple lessons.
Yeah, in the Apple lessons. You see, you get the skills to be able to paint something like this. And then I show you how to grid this on. If you watched our video of the horse, which was, yes, do you have the horse, the white horse somewhere? If you watch this video Saturday, you know, my daughter Cinnamon, the art, some of you guys know her as the art Sherpa, she and I did a collaboration where her horse and she did a black horse on Saturday, and then I came right on and did a, you know, kind of a white Arabian young horse, like not quite a foal, but pretty close.
Let me take that one away from you, please.
Yeah, take this one. John will take this and remove this. Now, if you know, the technique I show you in this to grid this horse on is the same technique I show you how to do to grid that violin and books on. So these are all skills that you build up on, and what's so fabulous about acrylics is that you just get better and better. That's what happens to you as an artist. One of the other new things, John's going to be giving away some more stuff.
Can you square your table back up? I bumped it.
Yeah.
Oh, I knew that would happen.
What happened? It fell down. Is this all right? Square it up?
It's a new table. We just haven't fully.
Yeah, it's a new table. Here's a tutorial that's going to be, I think this is a 2 or 3 intermediate.
That's it's an intermediate, I believe. We have a class.
I don't know, but this is going to be in our academy. Again, glass vase, brushes, jars, and bottles. This is a new one coming up for July that we hadn't shown you yet. wanted to show you that.
Hey, we'd like to congratulate Carol, and I apologize for your last name. How am I going to pronounce it? Tamaras? Carol Tamaras, winner of a 7-day VLL membership.
Okay, so no, I wish you hadn't taken my painting. Put those paintings back where I can see them, because we want to show them at the end. So we finish my painting. Don't put them away. All right, we're going to do I'm going to do. I think we have time. What time is it now? Do we have time to do a quick giveaway?
Time. It's got to be a quick one.
Okay,
though.
we're going to do a quick giveaway, right? I want to show some of you. Want to celebrate the 4th of July, right? With it's coming up, which is sort of a happy American holiday. So I think I will show you how you might paint these same flowers like that. And I'm going to do it real quick, okay? So just kind of bear with me here. I've never done, I'm just guessing I can make this work. Seems like a good idea at the time. Doesn't it seem like a good? Look at this, I've got paint all over this. How does this happen to me? There's paint all over, now it's on my phone. It's just, wow, I think this rolled in the paint. It rolled off, that's what happened. Wow.
My fault. Blame it on the sock folder.
Well, I need something right here to keep everything from rolling off into the paint.
I'll work on that, boss.
I'm just suggesting that as because look, now it's on my phone too. There's the back of my phone. All right, phooey. All right, there, poo. All right, so, all right, we'll move on while John's giving away. Can I answer some questions while John?
No, I'm going to give another winner. Maria Kellner, winner of a 1-credit downloadable lesson.
Oh, congratulations, Maria. That's great. This has been a fun one. We've had a lot of donations, and so we're able to give back, and you're giving to other people, you guys that donated. Let's see. Let's take a Naphtha Crimson, which is our red. Okay.
Oh, it's a great underpainting. Who did that?
Oh, John did the underpaintings.
Oh, one of my artistic beauties.
It is, John. It's a wonderful underpainting. We're going to do this very quickly. Okay, here's our angle brush here. Here we go. So, all right, so we're going to paint this vase red. I feel like the Queen of Hearts here. Remember she painted all the white roses red, or was it she painted them white? I forget. What did she do?
I don't remember.
This is Alice in Wonderland. How can you not remember that story?
I'm sorry. I was doing other things in life.
Really? Unbelievable. How sad. Okay. So, all right. So someone's going to win this. This will be a kind of a.
So if you want to win that beautiful painting of my background, it's going to be covered up.
Okay. We're going to say here's the.
Well, it's well on its way to being covered up.
It's well on its way to being covered up, right?
All right. We're going for a 30-day membership. We have 2 30-day memberships we're giving away, which include the personal art coaching. Maybe Ginger would like to tell us more on personal art coaching.
This is so cool. But just imagine being able to paint something and then say, gosh, I wonder what Ginger would think about that. And then being able to take a photograph of it and send it to me within a day or two. Usually we tell people to give us a week, but it's usually back within a day or two. You're going to get usually it's a video of me talking to you and actually demonstrating how this painting could be improved. Imagine that. Just such a cool idea, isn't it? And this is kind of this is exactly what we offer in the Art Academy. It's called Personal Art Coaching. You don't have to, and you can, every week you can send me something, and you can, and then once a month, if maybe you're designing your own stuff. This is usually just tutorials that we see from our YouTube and Academy tutorials, but once a month you can send me something that you've thought of, that you either, maybe some picture you found somewhere else you want to paint, thought it would look neat in your house. The nice thing about being an artist is you can redecorate your house every week with new art, right? So fun. Most people buy a painting and they're stuck with it wherever, I think the time you have as an artist, you can just keep redecorating. It's fun. And you can paint throw pillows to match and waste baskets.
You can just go crazy.
I mean, yeah, you can go crazy. And so, anyway, there's our vase. Remember I talked about that, right? And So I'm going to dry this real quick while John's doing another thing. Right?
Oh, let me mute you.
Wait.
Oh, they won't be able to hear me.
Okay.
I don't have another commercial to give. I've got nothing to do.
Well, you can just listen to the dryer then for a second, right?
All right, go for it.
So tell more about, tell them what you do in the Academy, John, as far as helping people technology.
Oh, technology. Hey, if you don't know what I do everything but paint. I run the YouTube the Tech Bear channel on YouTube. If you don't subscribe to that one, you're missing out on all the tech tips on basically how to run anything that Ginger does on her site. And if you have other questions, it's a good channel. We don't do a lot. They're quick little videos, just right to the point. So do a search for the Tech Bear on YouTube, and you'll see a picture of Sammy and the logo. And that will get you cued into some of the goodies I get to do once in a while when the Queen doesn't keep me running around.
Well, we're just okay. So what you're seeing here is Ginger finding the end of this tape.
May I help you, my Queen?
Well, should be right here. Here it is. I got it. All right.
So we have the first winner for one of the 30 days. We've got two 30 days because of your generous donations. We appreciate it because we love to help artists that are struggling, that want to learn.
Or maybe they
from
just,
the best.
it's not even struggling, they just, maybe that, life just dealt you a whammy and you're feeding 6 kids and 3 grandchildren and somebody wants a new roof and your budget doesn't allow for it at this red hot moment, right? How's that? Sounds good, doesn't it?
It does.
So I want you to just see what I'm doing here because this is, you see how this, you've never seen tape curve, have you?
Margaret Mullet. Mulet. Well, it's one L. M-U-L-E-T. What do you say, boss?
Yeah, okay. Hi, Margaret.
Congratulations, Margaret. 30-day membership at the Academy on the VLL lessons with personal art coaching. Again, we will send all winners an email except for the winner of the painting. They will email me with their mailing address. Oh, looks like someone's going to be putting stripes on the...
Have you noticed how that this tape is curving where this doesn't?
I did.
Yeah, do you want to find out how the tape curves? Oh, you be a member of the Academy and watch that that violin lesson, and I'll tell you about the curvy tape. Not to put too fine a point on it. Here you go, like that. Okay. All right, that's the, whoops, you've got to curve down like this. All right, so now, a little brush like this, some white paint, yes and yes. I will tell you a little secret about tape is that always paint over the tape. Don't paint back and forth because even though we shoved it down with my fingernail, probably should have used a palette knife to do that with, and I didn't. So
and the last one we have tonight for our
digital
giveaways.
Digital giveaways, and then we're going to,
giveaways.
someone's going to win this painting.
Yep, someone's going to win the painting. So keep entering. If you have, just one entry per person, please. Alicia Albini, A-L-B-I-N-I.
Okay.
Winner of a 30-day membership. John, will you be having an auction soon, or again? Yes, we will.
Yes, we're going to have it, because we really are, we're
running out of room again.
Paintings are building up, you guys. We need your help.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to say that this is...
I don't know exactly when. I've got to look at the calendar between what we've got scheduled and what we got going on. Does that make any sense at all?
Makes sense to me.
Thank you.
Yeah? All right, you ready for the big unveil?
Oh. Are we supposed to do that yet?
Yeah, you can do an ooh.
Ooh, yeah? On each side.
So, good to do this with clean hands, just saying. Look at that curve.
That is a sharp curve.
Look at that.
Should we get a close-up?
Imagine if you knew where you could get this tape, what you could do with your art.
You could go stripe crazy.
Look at that. Arches, anything that, any.
You could do a barber pole.
You could do a barber pole. Any painting where you needed a.
Do we have any more puzzles? I think we are down to the last 3 or 4. We have a few left.
All right, I'm going to dry this real quick. My stripes, yes?
Oh man.
Just give me a second, just 5 seconds.
Okay, go. All right, while she dries that, again, enter the contest. We want the chance to win the barber pole. The barber pole vase. That will be available in the next drawing that we do. And again, the winner of this will need to email us. Use gingercooklive.gallery and the contact us form and give us your mailing address.
Okay, so I want to make this vase look like it's round, so one side has to be in shadow. So
are there going to be any more ginger gems? If we do, they will be for the Academy members.
Yeah, that's where we'll put those.
We're currently working on.
All right, so we're going to say this is the...
Some great stuff for the future. I can tell you that and guarantee it.
This is the highlight on our...
We have enrolled my son to help.
Yeah, and he's really been
He
helping
didn't
us.
realize what he got himself into.
Yeah, but he's marvelous, and he's really helping us.
It is so nice to work with intelligent help.
Few little highlights on the vase right there, okay?
Love it.
All right, so then I've got a little bit of paint on here, but that's okay. So we're going to say that, let's put out the white paint again. Let me just move all of this. White paint is right here, okay? All right, so the first thing we're going to do is to do some white paint with a little blue, yes and yes. A little bit of blue. All right, then you're going to go, how fast can she put these flowers in?
Little pinky flowers, I like that.
Well, they won't be when I'm done.
Oh.
These are just, remember, you have to start with the shadow color first, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just going to put in this, these ones first. And we'll just tap these in here like this.
If the mods could put the link up one more time so people can get the last entries in, we greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, we can do that. If somebody wants to win this, this is fun. I just thought this might be fun for the 4th of July, right? To just do one of these.
Oh, a little red, white, and blue. I get it.
Yeah, that was just sort of my crazy idea. I don't know, how, clever that was, but that was my crazy idea to do that.
That's why I didn't say anything.
So there you go. This is, I want to just come over here like this and put these flowers in.
So you're going to probably want another drying break, aren't you?
There might need another drying break. You might see what you could do about
Yeah, I'm going to see what else I got available.
One more drying break. And also, if I could be answering questions while I'm just tapping this in here.
Well, I'm sorry, I just don't have any.
Why not? Don't you guys have any
questions?
Well,
you're explaining everything as you're going.
Oh.
I mean,
that's true.
If you weren't so brilliant.
Well, that's true. It's hard not to.
I think I'll do that one.
Okay, it's not that to be brilliant. This was a interesting day for us. We just...
How so?
Well,
I think every day's interesting.
Yeah, it was for me kind of an interesting day. I had some really good personal art coaching. One of my favorite things when people send me their original stuff, I love what people decide to paint, because you just never know, right? And one gal sent me a painting. She's a new member, and she sent me 3 cats kind of peeking on the stairways, and she had a really good reference photo. And one of the tricks is you need to take your picture straight on. That's something you could you know, you need to learn to do when you guys are showing, whether it's for YouTube or not, and you need to take your pictures straight on so that the sides of the canvas are parallel to the frame of the picture, right? And okay, like that. There you go. That's kind of coming out here like this. Let's put a little bit of purple and red together and make a little bit of a dark color.
How many times does Ginger usually do the same painting?
Never.
Ginger, you do it
twice,
at least twice.
Twice. But then after that, we don't. I'm just, you know.
She's over it.
You know,
Done it. Yeah, usually twice. Sometimes she's done one. We kept having recording problems. I think it ended up being 4 times before it was finally done.
The sound didn't go through. I was ready to kill
Sound
you.
didn't go through. The video problem. That was just equipment.
But you know, each time you do a painting, you can see where you get a little better at it, right?
Yeah.
You see, we're getting a little contrast in here now with the flowers.
I think Nell had a question about varnish. No, I can't hear you, so you better write it. Watch my video in the Tech Bear on how to varnish. It's a great video.
I've got some, you know, I use Liquitex matte medium and varnish. Spray varnish is, you've got a lot of texture. I still like matte medium and varnish. You just have to have another brush to kind of mop it up, because if it gets into the crevices, it won't dry clear, right? So, I mean, this is kind of fun, right? It's just very, don't you think?
Does Ginger use gesso on plastic and metal to prime or something else? We've used, there's a GAC product that's a golden. Golden makes a lot of mediums to paint and to prep different surfaces. We would recommend you go look at the GAC, G-A-C
and look at their
series.
website, and they tell you what everything is.
They have great products and tell you exactly how to use them.
Okay, so I mean, it's already kind of cute, isn't it? Very patriotic, right?
Very patriotic.
And then let's see, I'm just gonna, you see, there's water on my brush here. My brush is still dirty, so I'm just gonna make sure that that's shaded like that on that side of the.
That is so clever.
Whoops, oh, that's too much. All right, so now I'm just trying to see what I can do without drying first. Okay.
Oh, I'm ready.
You're ready for me to dry?
Oh,
I'm going to dry this. I'm going to put a few leaves in it, all right?
Okay, and wait, I got to click the right one.
You ready?
Wait, this is exciting. Got to find the right button. And that's it there. Okay, now I'm ready.
Hi, you guys. Did you know that probably the first 4 hours of my day, 4 to 5 hours of my day, are spent at the computer doing personal art coaching to our Academy members? People send me their artwork that they've been working on, either a lesson on YouTube, or it might be an Academy lesson, or maybe it's a photograph that they have that they're painting a picture for a friend, and they'll send me that, and then I will do a video and do personal customized art coaching for that individual, send it back, and we have this dialogue that's fantastic. And it's just like me sitting in your studio talking over your shoulder and saying, this is great, change this. And it really is true when I say a video is worth 1,000 words.
I think it's a picture's worth 1,000 words. So a video must be worth 1,000,000.
I think that was it. So one of the many reasons why joining the Academy of Fine Art and Acrylic Painting is of super benefit to you, and I think you should give us a try. Okay, so I'm thinking if I wanted to do this patriotic, you could put a star here, maybe in the vase. I don't know that I could draw a star that easily, but that would be something you could do. Would be very patriotic to throw in a star, yeah?
That'd be great.
So
Will Ginger do any more videos about how to change an existing painting like she did a few months back? Love seeing how she just wipes out the area and voila, improves the painting. That's going to go into our new program that we're working on. I don't know if Noel asked the question.
I don't know if we're going to do any more of those. If we did, I like it. I like the idea of those, right? Now, I'm not really doing white leaves. I'm just going to suggest some leaves coming out here like this in the blue, sort of white ones, right? Because I wanted to keep it all kind of in red, white, and blue. Does that make sense?
Well, sure.
So I just did a few white leaves like that, and
We had a Russian olive tree in our house, in our yard in Ohio when we grew up, and it had a whitish leaf,
did it?
greenish white. Yeah.
Yeah. So just I'll just put a few just something like that to just suggest this, and then I'm going to come back with the blue and do some dark, poke some holes in this. Okay, like that. So we got a few like that. There's this, and then I want to do, if you take ultramarine blue and naphtha crimson, you can make a very, very dark red, almost like a wine color. So if we wanted to say that this was darker here, you could come on this side of the vase and say that was a little bit darker. Maybe put a shadow here coming down like that from this to kind of give it a little bit more depth. Maybe put this under here like that with this shadow, like this way, right, like that. And I'm trying to think, what else could we do that would sort of jazz this up, since we're sort of making this up before we give it to you. This, what did we just drop? Something.
Hair dryer.
Oh, hairdryer just went. Oh, so it did. All right, this little bit right here kind of bugs me because that's where the paint was. So let's take something pretty dark right there and just fill this in. I think that could be, then the leaf could be a little bit more. See, look at that. A little contrast never hurts anything. I'd like it a little bit bluer than that, so because I don't want any purple in here. Here we go. There we go, and I'll just kind of play with this a little bit. I mean, we kind of had that background, which is kind of neat, really, when you think about it, right? Just put a little darker blue here. Put a little darker blue here. Okay. A little bit more dark blue here. Okay, just something like that for a little contrast. Now, I'll even be willing to just glaze this side of these. Wow, too much water on the brush. All right, so here's the glazing medium. Here's the blue. Let's do that. Tell you what, there we go. Here's the glazing medium. Okay, and let's do a few brighter. Now it's dried a little bit, right? Now we're coming up with our white highlights, yeah? This is why you have to do several coats on something like this. You're seeing this done a couple times, and that probably doesn't hurt, because you just need a couple of white highlights.
Here's a good question for you. What do you think is the best tip that you have received as you were using your acrylics and learning how to paint to improve your paintings? Which are beautiful, by the way.
Well, you know, when I first started painting with acrylics, nobody knew jack about them. They kept trying to make them work like watercolors, and I really spent years just trying to get my paintings to look like oil paintings. So really, I really didn't get tips about that. I'm probably the one that invented most of the tips. I know that sounds funny. I've been doing this since I was 17, right? 18 years old, I've been painting with acrylics. But, so probably the best book, I used to read a lot of books. Walter Foster wrote a book. Well, he wrote thousands of them, but he had this artist write a book, and this artist talked about mother colors and complementary colors, and that was probably a turning point for me in how my painting started to look, because he talked about how you could use, for instance, if you're doing a big painting and you want it to have a continuous look to it, right? Take, say, a bit of raw umber and put that in every color you use, or maybe dazzling purple or burnt, say, Payne's gray, and that's your mother color. And you use just a drop in everything, and then at the end on your where you're center of interest is or where you want something to show
Your
up.
focal point.
You leave it out, and it's noticeable. Even though you're mixing the exact same color, it's brighter. That was a huge. And then also, he talked about warm and cool colors and that kind of stuff. So that was a big tip for me, was learning learning complementary colors.
You really got to learn what
about
your colors can do.
Yeah, learning what the colors could do, I would say. But look at this, and the contrast. Look at the contrast. That's the thing. That's everything. Look at that. See what that came out as?
That's one of the number one things we get for the personal art coaching that you have to tell people.
Yeah,
it's usually
number
contrast.
one thing. Yes, it's just get a hold of the contrast. And again, I could have put a star in here maybe, but I don't know if that wouldn't have taken away from it a little bit.
I think you take it away from it. It looked too cheesy.
Yeah, then we got cheesy in it. So I think at this point I think this looks kind of good. Don't you guys like it?
I like it.
I think it's kind of cool looking, and we've kept true to the theme of it, right? Somebody always says, "What can you do here?" You can always like a few little things sticking out of my.
You don't have any petals
something like
down
that.
below.
Just some subtle little stuff stuck. If it's my vase now, I bought a few more things to go in my flower arrangement, right? Than just that, right? There, see, like this. There you go, something like that. So I think that's kind of pretty. I don't know about you, but I kind of like this one.
Well, final chance to enter the contest. We're going to close the door on entries for the painting of, what do you call it there, boss?
Well, I don't know.
Lilacs on the 4th of July.
Yeah, Lilacs on the 4th of July. What do you guys think, right? Lilacs on the 4th of July,
Well, that's a
right?
great title. Who came up with that?
I think you did, and I think there should be a little bit of red in the shadow too. What do you think?
I think it'd be a great idea.
Yeah, just a little bit of red in the shadow here too. Lilacs on the 4th of July. Very, very cool, right? And I mean, this is the kind of stuff this is fun for me, when you can just sit down here, visit with you guys. I feel like I'm getting to know so many of you, particularly in our Facebook club, when you post your paintings. I see the improvement. We try, probably next week we'll do some more shout outs to some of our members that have done so well, but I'm just so impressed with what everybody's done. And I know it's something, we're never in competition with anybody. You're just always trying to make every painting slightly better. And if you have a painting that totally fails, you know what? You learned a lot of ways not to do something. I have those, and I just said, well, I guess I'm not doing it that way. So there you go.
You did a couple of those last night.
Yeah, I think I chunked a couple last night. And in fact, I was going to go to bed. I was so disappointed. I was going to go to bed. Where's my picture that I painted with my tiger?
Well, you just have to wait a half a second while
I'll show you my tiger. And then I came up with my tiger, which is going to be an acrylic tutorial.
Oh, I know where he is.
I think he's right down here, somewhere on the floor.
No, I put him away from you.
Oh, he gets so protective of this art, right? Here we go.
Taz. My buddy Taz.
This is Taz, the tiger.
Taz the tiger. And he's going to end up being an 18 by 24.
And he'll be an 18 by 24, but I'll show you. This was my first look at my tiger, right? Just totally different. And I did this last night.
Let me back up a little bit. We were just doing a 6 by 8. We just filled the frame with Taz there.
There you go. There's Taz.
There you go. There's Taz.
There's Taz, right?
That's going to be a lesson. We haven't shot it yet. She just designed that one up.
Yeah, just designed that, and this will be an 18 by 24 when we're done.
Yeah,
but, I do it first to just see how it goes.
Which we tell you guys, do it small first before you go big. But do you listen to us?
No, but I've got to tell you that I want to do it when I get it back finally. We've got an artist in
Ecuador.
Frances Knighton in Ecuador, and she did one of our waiver water pictures 30 by 40 without doing it smaller. But she did so great with this. I just had a couple of tiny little comments to make it better. And I'll tell you what, she and her husband retired from the States down in Ecuador. They're living down there. She's selling her art. Most of the stuff that she's selling, she sends to me for personal art coaching, and I'll make some suggestions. And she's having the time of her life. She even shipped a painting somewhere up to the United States. And she's, we tell you if it's one of our paintings, we're happy if you sell, you want to sell one of our tutorials, happy to have you do it. Here's our red slash to the name. There you go, you guys. Someone's going to win this.
You can't make prints of them. You got to sell original art.
Yeah.
Your original paintings.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, let's do the drawing for the big winner. Mm-hmm.
So someone's going to win this. I actually really quite like this. I think this
Oh,
came
you want
out.
to give it away? Okay,
I
we're not
could-
going to give this one away.
yes, we
Sorry,
are.
folks.
No, shh.
Oh.
But I want you to see the difference.
Well, no, they can't see a difference.
Because you're backing out.
I have to back out.
All right, I want you to see that. Look, it's the same idea, isn't it? Same idea. Just change the colors.
And you get a totally different effect.
And you get it. And just change the vase, change the colors. You know what I mean? And that's all we did. And just, how fun is that? Just.
Did I not spell that right?
So that's kind of what I'm suggesting. Everybody try to think outside the box a little bit. Have fun with that.
Oh, I have an E in there.
You want to.
Do I want to what?
I'm not going to be mean. I guess I should tell you what the tape was. Do I have some I can show you?
What are you going to do?
I was going to tell them what the tape was because I don't want to be mean.
You're
That's
gonna
just
give in,
kind of
aren't you?
rotten, isn't it? I'll tell them. Where'd I put it? All right, this is what the tape is I bought for those of you
Who hung in here that long?
1/4 inch art tape, black crepe. It's crepe. If it doesn't say the word C-R-E-P-E, it doesn't.
It won't bend.
It won't bend. It won't. It can't be plastic. It has to be crepe. And this is harder than heck to find. I can't remember. We found this at an art store closing out, going out of business, remember? This is not easy to find, but that's what you want. And it makes these great curves. It makes, you need a perfect curve, this is it. And it comes in different widths.
Donna Kimberly is the winner of the Lilacs on the 4th of July. Woo!
Oh, congratulations, Donna, for winning that. I just think that's awesome. And, you know, use the contact us and send us your address so we know where to mail it to you. And we'll also be sending you a couple packages of our tub of towels, sample packages.
Because we love our tub of towels.
Because you saw me. I mean, I just, you know,
Take a bath
I can barely do a painting without at least having, you know, look at this. It's just amazing. I don't know what happens to me, but if it happens to you, then you're going to love them. So, and you can wipe up, you know, it cleans up everything. Too good. Cleans up the table, yes and yes. So anyway, that's what we got. Hope you enjoyed. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I hope you're subscribed if you have not. And we look forward to seeing a lot of you in our academy in the future, and certainly on Facebook. And I'm always excited to see your art. And it goes so fast sometimes. If I haven't commented on your art, I don't always get a chance to. I go up Facebook a couple times a day, and if it's scrolled past, I may not see it. But I appreciate that you post it. And our moderators, somewhat, you know, are right there to help. And we wouldn't have a Facebook club without our fantastic moderators, and give a shout out to them. So thanks so much, you guys, for watching.
That's it.
That's it.
We'll be back
Monday.
next week.
Next week. That's it.
All right. 7:30 p.m. Central Time.
See you then. Well, you guys, I don't think I can look at another commercial about how to unstop the toilet, or maybe you two can learn to draw. That, you know, we have to have those in our video in order to kind of cover some costs, but I thought it would be fun, as long as we were doing it, to put a commercial in for ourselves. So here's the commercial from me to you. I want you to have a wonderful day. I want you to be the artist you can be. I want you to get up in the morning and say, today's the day I'm going to be happier than I was yesterday. This is my commercial, and wishing you the bestest, happiest day of your life. And art hugs from John and I.
I'm a student, I say with glee, of Ginger Cook's Academy. Take your time and do not rush. Use ruby satin, silver brush. Don't use black and mix the green. Learn what blend and grayscale mean. Yes, I hope each day to earn coaching praises as I learn. I'll be an artist, wait and see. Ginger means the world to me.